You're tuning in to the Raised by Rentals program. This podcast will contain strong language and spoilers for decades-old media properties.
Join us.
Welcome, everybody. This is the podcast where we examine pop culture franchises of the VHS era, where scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago are the only excuse we need to imagine how we might improve our favorite Christmas movies, TV, and games. I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And we're Raised by Rentals. Mike, for this year's Christmas special, we have not one, but two very special guests with us. Guests, where are you?
I am right here. Professor Pickman speaking.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. I have also joined this fright fest.
Amazing. It's the Crypt Keeper. And Josh. Yeah, Josh. Cool. Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Josh. But hey, it's the Crypt Keeper. So, as you can tell from the special guest we have with us, Mike, we have finally gotten around to one of the topics that both of us, but especially you, have been talking about all the way back since the inception of Raised by Rentals, which is doing an improv of some sort to pay homage to Tales from the Crypt.
Ah, my favorite TV show of all time.
Which means tonight, kids, we'll have tales from the...
Raised by Rentals.
Thanks for that unsolicited advertisement, Crypt Keeper.
And don't worry about being starstruck. Many others have been, and they've all been dead wrong.
I love it. I'm so glad you came to stop by our crypt, Mr. Crypt Keeper, and I, for one, am super, super excited about this special. Maybe more so than our previous Christmas specials, but I recently went back and listened to them again, Mike. And if you haven't listened to Christmas the 13th or Ash Saves Christmas recently, they are both great. And of course, Yule Parish, the introduction of our very own slasher friend, Jurgen the Yuletide Avenger.
That was a fun one. That was
It's
a very
such a good
interesting
one.
idea. And like the fact that we had no clue at all what we were gonna do going into that, it was like, yeah, okay, Christmas slasher, we got this.
Yeah,
it was nuts.
Jurgen
Yeah.
the Yuletide Avenger needs to be a Christmas tree topper.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Mike, I think you have an art project.
I was just gonna say that sounds really fun.
Yeah, that was so much fun too, and it was a big challenge because not only did we have, Sam Granquist on as our horror host for that show, like prompting us to introduce things, and we had no idea what the hell we were going to do with like puppets and shit. But then we made it even worse by giving ourselves a cast of like 16 characters to deal with. But
It was
somehow
pretty nuts.
yeah, it somehow came out like really, really fun, and I really liked the episode. But it really raises the bar for, continuing to have like really fun Christmas episodes. So I hope that this one lives up to that standard. I hope that our creativity is just as good. But really, even if it isn't, it's still Tales from the Crypt, and like that's still going to be a ton of fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, even the worst episodes of Tales from the Crypt are a blast.
Totally
Yeah.
agree.
I don't think I ever was bored once. There's definitely some that I like more than others. And we're going to get into talking about the TV show here in a little bit. And we're going to have to, especially you, Mike, probably going to have to rein yourself in and talking about every episode you love and how great they are.
Yep. Yeah, I actually just had this conversation last night. We had our annual Christmas party, and me and our buddy Steve ended up talking about Tales from the Crypt, which is funny because he's not a horror fan, but he was talking about some of the episodes he remembered, and I was just rattling off the titles as he was like, it was about this guy, and like he was like he worked at a chemical company, and some guy died in the rainforest. I was like, halfway horrible.
But yeah, speaking of Tales from the Crypt episodes, the reason why we're here, obviously, is one of the greatest TV shows of all time. I can't imagine that our normal fan base would not know what Tales from the Crypt is, but just in case, I wrote down some facts and figures. I want to go through the introduction, kind of the background of what the comic book was, what the TV show was, and we'll talk a little bit about why we love it so much and what is so great about it. And then we'll do our very best to rise to the challenge of trying to present our own what if installment in the Tales from the Crypt mythos.
Nice.
So, Mike, this is actually a milestone for us. A milestone in that in our very last episode, The Town That Dreaded Festivus, we realized, kind of shocked, that Seinfeld was only the second TV property that we ever did an improv on. The first one being way back in season 1 when we did a story about Matt Foley in a van down by the river from SNL.
I still really like where that episode went. That is one where you suggested it, and I was just going along for the ride because I'm like, dude, I'm not a big SNL guy. And I went back and watched a bunch of those. And then where we took that, I didn't expect it to go that dark.
Yeah.
But it was like, I had a lot of fun with that episode.
Yeah, me too. That was a lot of fun. And we kept meaning to do more TV. We talked about it last episode, so I won't repeat everything. But there was always some reason to put it off. Usually it's just a lot of homework. It's a lot of episodes to have to watch a whole TV season or a whole miniseries or something in order to have it fresh enough in our heads where we can improv, something better or to add to it. And there are some TV shows that you just know inside and out, so you don't even really need to watch them. And we have a few on the list like that. But we ended up doing the episode on Festivus from Seinfeld. What we did had nothing to do with Seinfeld other than we just took the holiday.
Right.
But it was still kind of interesting to know it had been so long since we had done a story based off of a TV property. And now we're doing 2 episodes in a row. First Seinfeld and now Tales from the Crypt.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, kind of interesting. So Tales from the Crypt was a TV show. It debuted in 1989 and ran until 1996. I distinctly remember watching this when it debuted. I remember watching the first episode, the 3-part special, and every episode after that as they premiered on HBO. And this was the time when I briefly lived in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is where I lived when I got my original NES, my Nintendo Entertainment System, and became obsessed with Super Mario. And it's the little town where I lived where the Jason Copycat killer murdered a couple of people. I told that story in our Halloween episode.
Yes. That's freaking nuts. I still
Yeah,
can't get
that
over
really is.
But yeah, it was an amazing show. It ran for about 7 years, but it was ostensibly based on a comic of the same name, a comic, Tales from the Crypt, published by EC Comics from 1950 to 1955. And I say ostensibly because the TV show is called Tales from the Crypt, but they took stories from anthology titles across the line of EC Comics. EC, it used to be a sort of a traditional publisher that put out like funny animal and cartoon books and stuff. And when the original publisher, whose first name I can now not recall from memory, but his son William Gaines took over in the role of publisher for the company, and he was way more interested in telling adult stories, not doing like the funny animal characters, but telling stories about crime and FBI guys and spies and horror stories and war tales, stuff that was more adult, geared toward an adult audience at a time in the 50s when comic readership was the highest it had ever been to this day, and people from all walks of life and all ages read comic books. I think mostly because they were just sold alongside magazine size pamphlets, and you'd pick it up with like your Look magazine and your Time magazine, and read like a little war story or a little horror story. Comics definitely were not for kids until after that, ironically. And we don't need to get into the whole story about the fall of EC Comics and the Comics Code Authority, and we all know that Friedrich Wertham can eat a dick. But anyway. But there were other titles in the EC line that came out at the same time as the Tales from the Crypt title, which was hosted by the Crypt Keeper. And then there was the Haunt of Fear, hosted by the Old Witch, the Vault of Horror, hosted by the Vault Keeper. And those were like anthology titles where there would be 2 or maybe 3 short horror or supernatural stories, usually with some kind of ironic twist. And nobody ever came out happy at the end. There were no happy endings for these horror stories.
No.
People always got what was coming to them, whether they deserved it or not.
Sometimes the ironic twist was an ankle or neck.
That's That's right, Crypt Keeper. See, you were there. You remember. And then you probably also remember that the Tales from the Crypt TV show, in addition to the stories from those 3 horror comics, there were stories taken from crime comics like crime suspense stories and shock suspense stories and Two-Fisted Tales, which was like crime and war together. And there was a few other ones as well. So the TV show, I think, did a really good job of combining straight horror in the sense of gore and monsters with these just sort of dark stories about, the dark corners of humanity. And they were about lust and betrayal and backstabbing and murder. And you never really knew what you were going to get when you sat down to watch Tales from the Crypt on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
It was always a guaranteed good time.
Absolutely. Every single time. And man, I could go on and on about all of the celebrity guest stars and guest directors, and maybe not even so much guests, because right from the first episodes, there were A-list Hollywood directors, at least B-list Hollywood actors, but you had like known faces and known people behind the cameras right from the get-go. And just like look up a list of notable guest stars like on Wikipedia, like I'm doing right now, and it fills up my entire screen.
It became the go to the It property in Hollywood. Like it was kind of like the Love Boat in the early 80s, where like if you were a star on TV, you had to book a gig on the Love Boat. If you were a character actor in the 80s and 90s, you had to be on Tales from the Crypt. Like it was like a badge of honor in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then for actors to come and direct episodes, it was a really good opportunity for people like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito and people like that to actually get to show that they could direct, they could create something behind the camera as well as in front of it. And yeah, it was a huge career boost. It was like there was a certain cachet, like, oh, I got to be on an episode of Tales from the Crypt.
And not to interrupt you, Josh, but I just have to comment real quick because we do talk a lot about Schwarzenegger on this podcast. His episode, The Switch, was one of my favorites. I still love that one.
It's so really much fun. An amazing one.
Yeah,
it's a solid episode.
Well, that's a perfect segue for us to talk about some of the episodes. My actual favorite episode was one of the 3 that launched the premiere. So I'll do mine last because that'll be a further segue into, kind of where we're going with the format of this episode, our podcast episode, not the Tales from the Crypt TV episodes that we like the best. But
right
now I'm confusing myself. So Mike, you tell us first. No, Josh, you're the special guest. You tell us first. What was, if not your favorite, at least a really standout episode for you from the original series?
All-time favorite is Death of Some Salesman.
Oh, of course, Tim Curry. That is a fantastic episode. One of the best.
Yeah, I love
Tim Curry times 3.
Yep.
Oh, it's so good. Tim Curry is amazing. I love Tim Curry.
I am a sucker for heavy makeup roles that still allow the actors to act.
Mm-hmm.
And Tim Curry just killed all 3 of those roles. Not to mention the fact that, like, Ed Begley Jr. played a great fucking slime ball.
Oh, God, yeah, he did. And I have a feeling that both of your favorite episodes are going to be in my top list because I fucking love that episode. And Josh, I already know what you're going to pick, and I absolutely fucking love that episode as well. but yeah, that oh, dude, Tim Curry kills it in that episode. He's so good.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few episodes where when they do the TBS edited for television, they didn't cut out that much. They cut out some vulgarity and they cut the sex scene to make it more comfortable for a TV audience. But other than that, like they still like it was a pretty intact episode when it aired on television.
No, I remember showing that episode to Ruth at one point, and she was definitely surprised to know that Tim Curry was the whole family.
Yep.
Like she knew it wasn't like, she obviously knew that it was people in makeup.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was like, nope, it's all Tim Curry. That was her moment of like, no way. And then of course she really looked for it. And at certain points you can get hints, but goddamn Tim Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so amazing. Oh man. Mine actually is an episode we're going to talk about here in a minute that's related to Christmas. Is my number 1 of all time. I might be a little bit biased though because it was like one of the like launch episodes, and if I don't count those, I'd probably go with the ventriloquist dummy with Don Rickles.
Oh, and Bobcat.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that was such a good one. And that episode was also, it was a very simple title. It was just the ventriloquist dummy. It wasn't actually like any kind of, like punny title.
Yeah, I actually just Googled it because I'm like, is that really the title? Because that's how I remembered it. But I'm like, no, that can't be right. That's just a description. But no, that is the title. It's just called the ventriloquist dummy. Maybe it's because he was a dummy. Maybe because Bobcat was a dummy. I don't know.
Yep. That was the play on words there.
So, Mike, you tell us. You're the big Tales from the Crypt nerd of the three of us, the biggest. So you tell us, can you pick a number one?
It's really hard for me because I'm going to say I think my most favorite is going to be Corman's Calamity, because as a kid, I wanted to be a comic artist so bad. And it was about, a comic artist whose creations are coming to life. And it was another thing I also loved in Tales from the Crypt is getting to see the monsters. And in that episode, there was 3 different monsters. So it was it wasn't just, that one reveal. We got a reveal 5 minutes in, and then another 5 minutes in, and then another 5. It was oh, this is so cool. And it, I loved Night Court back in the day. So friggin' it was Harry in Night Court. What the hell is the actor's name? Why can't I think of him? The judge, Harry Anderson.
Harry, who played Harry.
No one else tried to come up with that. I was Jesus Christ. But yeah, I absolutely love that episode. And then I think a close follow is The Secret, which is the one where the little boy who's at the orphanage, who keeps, he keeps breaking out of his room at night and stealing food and getting up to hijinks. And, he's the oldest of the orphans and no one's ever going to adopt him. And finally, these 2 rich people come along and they adopt him. But they put him in his room and give him all the toys he could ever want, but they're not around. They just kind of disappear all the time. They have work, they say. Mm-hmm. And they keep feeding him anything he wants, all these big sweets, fancy sundaes, all this. And his butler is his only friend, which is the guy who plays Dr. Giggles. I can never remember that actor's name.
Oh, isn't it Larry Drake? Because he's
it's Larry something. Yeah,
he's
right.
He's in my notes because he's in another episode that I'm about to talk about. Yeah, Larry Drake, who played Dr. Giggles.
But yeah, he's the butler, and eventually we find out that the parents are vampires, and they've been fattening him up and sweetening his blood so they could hunt him down and eat him. Well, the butler tries to save him, because he kind of, grows to like the kid. He tries to save him. He gets killed. The kid runs off into the forest. The vampires are hunting him. And then eventually he stops and tells them that he has a secret too. And he turns around. It's a full moon. He's a werewolf. And he's and I have a hunger for vampires. And he eats the parents. And then comes back to the orphanage knowing his secret and kind of runs the show. I love that episode so much.
There weren't any bad episodes,
Yeah.
Even toward the end when it was maybe it was kind of losing some of the shine, but every episode was still really solid.
Well, and that's the thing, the Tales from the Crypt in Britain is the one that everyone always points to, the final season. Everyone's like, oh, that was the crap season. But it's really not. It's got a lot of amazing episodes. There's some where the budget was clearly not there for the effects. I forget there's one with Bob Hoskins, and I remember someone's their face kind of mutating into a weird bird face. I can't remember why, but the effects were awful. And for a show that had such great effects, you could tell the budget was starting to get pulled. So that season, yeah, the effects are a little wonky, but it's still, the stories are fantastic.
Before we get into the other segue, I just want to mention, Mike, you have a couple of Boogeyman's Closet episodes, too, that revolve around Tales from the Crypt as well, because there have been a couple of movies.
Oh, yeah. We did Demon Knight. We have not done the original movie, which I've been trying to get. It just got eked out by 1 vote last time we had it up there.
Oh, for shame! And you said you're a member of my fan club.
So good. I'm not going to be used to that this whole episode. I'm just going to be starstruck.
I know. It's like there's a celebrity in the room. Act normal. Act normal. Don't be weird.
I guess you could say I'm making a killing.
Mike, again, you're the expert, so help me out with the trivia here with the facts, because I'm mostly going off of memory and, briefly like looking up the cast to make sure that I had them correct. But I remembered everything about these stories, but I couldn't remember exactly what the real life, presentation behind it was. But in my memory, I remember the premiere of Tales from the Crypt again. I remember sitting in my living room in Greenfield. I remember what we were eating. It's really, really stuck in my brain. And they did 3 episodes essentially back to back, but like as a movie. I can't remember if they were edited together into a 3-parter or if it was just literally like back to back without the credits. So am I remembering that right?
I want to say it still had the credits, because I vaguely remember that too, because there was, oh god, why can't I think of it? It had William Sadler. It's where he was the executioner.
The Man Who Was Death.
The Man Who Was Death. Thank you. Yeah, I remember that one, and obviously the one we're going to talk about. But I don't know, was there a third one? Because I feel like there was just those 2.
No, there was 3. So again, the shows themselves are burned in my brain. I just couldn't remember. How did we watch them all at the same time, or was it like a movie? But yes, no, it was back-to-back episodes. I just
was it the one with Demi? Or no, wait, was it the one with the taxidermy?
No, it was Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, where Joe Pantoliano plays the carnival guy who's got 9 lives and keeps like dying as his like circus act.
Didn't count the death of the cat. I forgot about that one. Okay, yep.
Yeah. So, and again, I remembered all 3 of these stories. But yeah, so basically they premiered 3 episodes on the same night, and I had to look up the cast because I'm like, did I really remember that right? But absolutely I did. These are fucking star-studded, right? So again, 3 episodes. The first one you mentioned with William Sadler, the Man Who Was Death, or who is a executioner, like from a prison, and he basically goes on like a vigilante murder spree. But that was directed by Walter Hill, who directed The Warriors and 48 Hours and Red Heat and a bunch of other stuff. And, of course, William Sadler's been in a shitload of things. But then ramp it up to the second episode, which is called And All Through the House. And now this one is my absolute favorite one of all time. This is a Christmas story featuring the fucking scariest Santa Claus ever put on film, played by Dr. Giggles himself, Larry Drake. But it was fucking directed by Robert Zemeckis, like Back to the Future Robert Zemeckis, and stars Mary Ellen Trainor, who isn't as big now, but she was in Lethal Weapon and Goonies and Scrooged and a bunch of shit that I still watch all the time, right? Because those are Raised Rentals movies for sure. And fucking Marshall Bell has a small role in it, who, again, he's in a bunch of stuff, but to me, he's always the dad in Stand By Me.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, and it's absolutely terrifying to me. It's the scariest Christmas, story I've ever seen. I just watched it today, 22 minutes. I still get the willies every single time, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. I had my kids watch it, and halfway through they were getting kind of bored. But I'm like, wait, just wait, just let it get to the climax. And they were like completely on board as soon as their little Gen Z brains were patient enough to wait for something to happen. And then the third story was Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone with Joe Pantoliano. We just talked about that, where, he plays like a carnival or circus performer who's his act in the sideshow is that he dies, he kills himself, and then he comes back to life because he has 9 lives like a cat. And that shit was directed by Richard Donner, of all people. Fucking Superman. And again, I just mentioned him, Goonies, Scrooge, and Lethal Weapon.
And the one I was thinking of where I was like the taxidermy one, that was actually in season 1. That's why it was stuck in my head as early on. But that's the one, it's the guy retires and his wife has all the pet strays that she's feeding.
Yeah.
And he like loses his shit and then he takes up taxidermy and starts killing all of them. And then she decides to kill him and stuff. It's collection completed. That's
I just had to look it up too. That's right. Yeah, Emmett Walsh or Emmett Walsh. Hell yeah, love that dude. Yeah,
from Critters.
You had to remind me.
But real quick, not to keep belaboring the point, but season two is fucking insane. It's 18 episodes long, and there's some episodes in here we didn't even bring up. Lower Birth, the one about the Crypt
Mhm.
Keeper's origin.
One of my
You know,
favorites. One of my
It's
favorites.
such a good episode.
Oh, and fucking cutting cards with Lance Henriksen.
Yes, I was just gonna say that one. That's like fucking classic, where they end up at the end with no limbs playing checkers.
Yep.
It's so good.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got to stop. We're just gonna go down the
Yeah,
episode
we're just gonna
list on
keep doing this.
Wikipedia and just fanboy out about all of them. Crypt Keeper, we're so happy that you're here with us because we are huge fans.
Indeed.
I'm happy to be here, even if I am feeling a little dead.
Oh, it'll never get old. I love it. So we are going to copy what I at least thought I remembered about the premiere episode, where they do episodes back to back, whether it's edited together into some kind of movie without the credits in the middle. Who cares? The point is that we are going to try to add our own stories to the Tales from the Crypt TV episode format, as if this was an episode that they hadn't filmed, for a long lost Christmas special. But instead of 3, we are going to tell 2 stories. So one of them was an idea I had come up with a while back that I never knew what to do with. Mike, you've got an idea. And then, of course, we've invited Josh, Professor Pickman himself, to come and join in on the fun with a little bit of the improv magic. And I was so stoked when Josh brought the Crypt Keeper. I didn't know that you knew the guy. He's so famous.
Right?
Well, I mean, he had to come along. It's I have a long list of puppet friends because I'm just weird like that. My friends are puppets.
I kind of like adding that to the mythology that is Professor Pickman. He's very good friends with puppets. I like this.
Real good friends.
Really good friends.
You know what they do? They wash my back.
Wash my back.
And there we have the deepest of cuts.
Yes. For anyone who does not understand that, go and listen to the Boogeyman's Closet episode, The Pit.
And Mr. Crypt Keeper, sir, if you wouldn't mind, please, you've graced us with your presence. Might I impose upon you, please, sir, if I could ask you to play the horror host, the proper horror host for our 2 offerings to the scariest time of the year.
Hello, boys and ghouls, and ho, ho, ho. We're here with a little frightmare before Christmas. And for this chilling tale of the holiday, we don't have your aunt's pudding. We have 2 frightfully good Christmas tales from our own hosts. The first will be crawling down the chimney from a little visit for St. Nick. And while we're there, we'll be saying, the morgue, the merrier.
Dude, I was trying so hard not to laugh. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to mute. Don't laugh. That's awesome.
Man. I couldn't ask for a better introduction. So, thank you, Mr. Crypt Keeper. This is a story that was just like one of those weird blurbs that popped into my head. What if that Phoebe Cates story that she tells in Gremlins about her dad getting stuck in a chimney trying to, come down and deliver presents on Christmas, what if that really happened? What would that really be like for the person inside of the chimney?
That would be horrific.
Also, can I just add, obviously, I know we haven't even started this yet, but you will at some point need to do a follow-up to this, which is the full version of her story from Gremlins 2 that she gets cut off about.
Now that's an idea. Let me go to my season 4 notes.
And I'll be just in the background, chopping it up like the hack I am.
The true origin of the story, other than that what if, was I was trying to think of an original title for a Christmas story. After we did our Yule Parish episode last season, I realized that it's kind of hard to come up with a title for a Christmas story that hasn't already been used in some way. especially if you're trying to come up with a reference to, like a Christmas song or a poem or some other movie. There's Christmas movies that make reference to, Christmas Carol titles and things like that. Or
they just need to get me out to Hollywood, because I've got like 3 off the top of my head. It's Frosty's Got a Shotgun.
Okay, wait, Josh, please write that down, because I am immediately picturing Hobo with a shotgun, but with Frosty.
Frosty with a Shotgun, season 4. Here it comes.
Frosty's Got a Shotgun. Rudolph Killing Spree.
I mean, these are in line with our Raised by Rental's attempt to not do horror, yet do horror anyway.
I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus, and then he fucking killed her.
Okay.
See now, okay, that sounds like a proper Tales from the Crypt right before the comics code happened. Like that's like that famous cover of oh my god, why can't I think of the artist's name? But Josh, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, where the guy is holding the severed woman's head on the cover of Tales from the Crypt.
Fuck yeah, Johnny. What's his name? Johnny shit.
I know. I can pick. I have a replica of the drawing. Like I own a poster of it, and I can't think of the fucking artist's name. It's Johnny something.
Johnny Craig. That's it.
Thank
Johnny
you.
Craig.
Thank you, Johnny Craig.
You put me on the spot. Any other time I would have had it at the tip of my tongue, and you put me on the spot, and I'm like, all comic knowledge gone.
Dude, the same thing was happening to me earlier with the episode titles. I was like, last night we were talking about it, I'm firing them off like nothing. Now that I'm being recorded, I'm like, I
like this show.
Yeah. I like spooky stories.
Crypt Keeper is a puppet.
We'll see what you say when I put my hand up your backside.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Oh man,
this is going off the rails quick. Okay.
Oh, I got one, Mike. Ready? A sleigh in a manger.
Nice.
I'll do the puns here, mister.
Oh man, but yes, I was just thinking of like Christmas things, like stocking and Christmas tree and twinkle lights or tinsel or whatever. Like one of these things has to be scary, until I finally landed on chimney and went, oh, of course. So that's the Phoebe Cates story. And yeah, I was like, I want to tell a story about chimney, but it's the guy who gets stuck in the chimney and what it's like to be in there. But the setup will be a little bit different, obviously, because I don't want to just take the story from Gremlins. People have heard that 100 times, and we gotta do our best to see if we can put our own spin on it.
Interesting. I am down.
And it can't just be Santa in 127 hours.
I mean, it could.
I mean, it that lends itself to some hilarity.
I was going to say, to be fair, it absolutely could.
So he has that moment of desperation where he finds the reindeer poop in his pocket, and he's like, I've got to eat that to stay alive.
Oh god, I'm picturing Santa like cleaning up after his reindeer with like a little pooper scooper in a Ziploc baggie, like people do with their dogs. Just like fucking Rudolph always dropping nuggets on the roof, just.
Okay, so here's my little setup that I came up with, just as what if I were to do this type of story, a story called Chimney, what would it be? So, I was like, well, there could be this guy and blah, blah, blah. So here's my little setup, and then we'll have to sort of take it from there and see where it goes and what kind of horror story it is. Is there going to be something scary in the chimney? Is it just, the dread of being trapped in there forever until you like die of starvation? Is there some other kind of a twist? Like, we'll figure it out. So I need the name of a couple of characters. Let's do that first to make this a little bit easier. Mike is your favorite part. Come up with names.
Indeed.
The names are going to be Hans and Julian and Esther.
Actually, that works pretty well. At first, I thought you were going to be like all the Die Hard guys. Like you're going to have Hans and Carl and Marco.
Oh, that would have been a lot funnier, but no, my brain just went to Arnold, and then went to Hans and Franz.
As one does.
Esther was just like, old lady name. Let me think of an old lady name.
That works.
Honestly, I don't think we've used the name Esther yet.
Yeah, probably not. Okay, so the main character of this story, he'll be Julian. We'll call him Julian, or just Jules for some reason. I like that. And then we'll go ahead and use Hans, because there's like a rich guy in this story, and that for some reason Hans, I feel like he's both like a big, burly dude in like a German bar in like an arm wrestling competition for beer, or he's like a rich snobby dude in an ascot.
Yeah,
I can see that.
that fits for both.
Okay, so we have Hans, and then there is a woman in my story who I have not really figured out like what her role is, other than the girlfriend, but I want her to do more than just that, but she's in there as well. Okay, so the setup is Jules he's like a regular dude, like regular guy from I don't know, suburban America, whatever. But he has a friend from college who was his best friend when they were in college. Maybe they were roommates, and his best friend has gone on to be like a super fucking rich, like multimillionaire, lives in like a big fucking mansion. It's your stereotypical movie rich guy behavior. Hell, this could even be in the 80s at the heart of that, like Gordon Gekko Greed is good yuppie bullshit, where you would have a guy who would want to live in a giant mansion with limos and butlers and shit, really more as like status symbols than anything else. So this guy Hans lives in this big mansion, and he's throwing his big rich guy holiday party for Christmas. He is, his mansion is completely decked out with the most expensive professional decorators you can imagine. There's lights strung all over, like all like 3-4 stories of this building. There's like, giant, not like silly cartoon characters, but there's, like giant statues in the front yard, and there's like shit that's just made out of like twisted light strings and all that kind of bullshit. Think like the mansion from Violent Night, if you've seen that.
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, so he's throwing this big ass party, and he goes and he invites Jules to come to the party. Hey man, we're old friends. Like, this may not be like your crowd, because it's like the I don't know, rich California people or some shit, and they're gonna rent or fucking buy like a big ass party bus, and they're gonna ride it all over town and hit up a bunch of bars, and then they're gonna go back to this guy's big fucking mansion, and they're gonna have a giant party with everything you can imagine. And because he wants to go all out, he wants to pull out all the stops, he invites his buddy Jules, like, hey man, like, come, and I know it's not really your jam, but hey, by the way, like, do you know somebody? I need to like hire a Santa Claus, somebody that like I can trust. I don't want some like deadbeat off the street kind of shit. So Jules, he's down on his luck a little bit. Like, he's not a big fucking multimillionaire like his buddy, so he's like, well, since you asked, I mean, I'm not really going to be super comfortable with your, snobby rich people friends, but I could use a buck. Could you help a guy out? I'll come to your party and be your Santa Claus. And so, Hans is, he's going to make some jokes about him. Oh, don't forget to like eat some extra cookies and like pack on some extra pounds there, Santa, and whatever. He's a smarmy asshole is what he is.
And I picture him with like the lightest accent, like, don't forget to eat the cookies so you can fatten yourself up. Ha ha ha.
Yes. I love it.
Oh, that'd be great. Or maybe Jules just like, all right, Hank, you're from fucking South Jersey.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
But yeah, anyway, so he's just acting like a fucking snob. He throws a bone to his old college buddy. He's like, yeah, he'll show up. Here's the date and time. And he's like, but we're coming in on the party bus, so like, man, like nobody can see you. You gotta stay out of sight. And we cut forward to the night of the party, and you see the party bus is there. The other guests haven't been like picked up and loaded up yet. It's like before the party, and you see Hans, giving Jules, the little introduction, little lay of the land, and at the last second, he pulls out like an extra couple of $100 bills and was like, "Hey man, I got an idea," and he points up and you look up and you see this giant fucking chimney because of course inside the house he's got a fireplace. It's so fucking big you can like walk into it.
Yeah.
Of course.
So he's like, he's like, it'll be so great, man, when we come back later and like the bus rolls in and everyone, piles out and like we'll just get the party started and then bam, here comes Santa Claus like down the chimney with a bag full of presents. He's like, look, I even got the presents, and he opens up a bag and obviously everything is already pre-wrapped, and I don't know how we would be able to tell this, but of course it's nothing but like Rolexes and iPhones and shit,
Nice.
Or fuck, maybe we can find that out later. But anyway, so
I feel like it should just like in the very rich person way, it should just be the items with like bows and ribbons wrapped around them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you can show off what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And maybe right on top there's very obviously like a set of keys with like one of those little Christmas like Santa tags on it, and fucking Jules he picks up the keys, he's like, seriously? And Hans he points and he's like oh, there's a couple sets in there, and there's like a fucking like a Maserati and a Lamborghini and whatever all like lined up against the side of the house, and he's like, you douchebag. And then he's like, for that shit, like, put those hundreds away, man. Pull out some thousands. Let's go.
Right.
But, suffice to say, Jules is like, I don't know if we want to go through the whole, back and forth of him, telling Hans to, like, screw off with that. Like, I'm not doing it. And, like, here's some more money. But whatever. The point is, Jules gets bribed, up into climbing up on the roof to go down the chimney and be Santa Claus for all these rich pricks. Yeah, so Hans takes off in the bus. Jules, he's left there on his own. Like, how the fuck am I even going to get up there? So we can have a little back and forth where we get to see what Hans is doing. Like, you cut to him and he's like partying in the party bus downtown. He's got like, a bunch of like fancy looking like people in their bus and, scantily clad dancers and the whole thing. It's like 80s debauchery. And, cut back to the house. You see that Jules, like, he went out in the back in like a shed somewhere and like, found a ladder and got up on the roof. And as he's going up, there's just like so many like lights and decorations fucking everywhere. He gets all the way up to the roof, and right when he's trying to like get off this like really high ladder to get onto the roof, he throws his leg up and gets his leg caught in some Christmas lights dangling off the the gutters or whatever are up there, and he gets his leg caught, and there's a moment where he's like kind of struggling and oh shit, like he's gonna fall, and he grabs the roof at the last minute and pulls himself up, and the fucking ladder goes clattering down behind him. So fuck, like now he's stuck up there, but he's supposed to be up there anyway. He's gonna go down the chimney. He'll probably be okay.
And it should be one of those things like, because of course Hans is going to be this douchebag, he doesn't want him to be going up the ladder where it would be visible to his guests, so he's got to go around to the back of the house, like on the other side. So he's going to have to cross like the icy, snowy chimney, or the rooftop, to get to the chimney. So it's like he's at the back of the house where it's dark, it's other than the Christmas lights, putting the ladder up, climbing up, and then he's got to traverse the very dangerous rooftop to get to where he has to go, and the ladder's gone, so if he falls, he's fucked.
Yeah, exactly. So not only that, but he was climbing the fucking ladder with this like bag full of like rich people gifts. So maybe he gets to the top and he's just like, oh my god, like I almost died. He like unzips his coat a little bit, like oh my god, and then he just gets real pissed, like fucking Hans. He reaches in the bag and he pulls out like, I don't know, like a fucking iPad, or I don't know, he pulls out something and he's just like, and one for Santa Claus. And like
yes. Fuck, I would at that point.
Right? Like, who the fuck's even gonna notice?
Right. Like, make me almost die. I'm taking an iPhone. Fuck you.
Exactly. Fuck you, man. Like, there better be a fucking Nintendo Switch or some shit in here. Anyway.
Right.
Or, of course, that was the 80s. But, like...
True. Yeah, that's true. If it's the 80s, it wouldn't even be... It would be like a Zach Morris phone. If it was...
I know, right? Yeah, well, yeah, which back then would have been, like, fancy as fuck, but, he would have been like, ooh, Nintendo.
Right.
So, long story short, he he goes over to the chimney. It's huge. He's looking down, but he can't see shit. It's dark in there. You know, he doesn't have a flashlight. Of course, he doesn't have a cell phone, so there's no like light source. And he's like, he's trying to like figure out like, you know, hello, like what's down there. And he did remember at least. Let's have him remember that he like brought a rope or something up with him because he was like, you know, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna get down this chimney. Right. So maybe he like ties the rope off to, I don't know, like they'll have those like heat exhaust pipes, or maybe it's like another chimney, or you know something else, or he fucking ties it to like the television antenna, like real fucking smart dude.
or just the corner of the roof.
Yeah, so it's gonna slip and he's gonna be like, ah.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. I hadn't really thought about how he was going to get in the chimney. In my head, it was kind of like, cool, he agrees to this, and then he's in the chimney like that. I didn't have the in-between part. So of course he goes down the chimney with this big-ass bag full of rich people gifts and his like big, you know, bulky Santa suit on. Hell, you know, he's not a big dude, so maybe it's the Santa suit that's full of like, you know, like he has a fat suit on underneath it, so there's even more shit he's kind of like got on him. He goes into the chimney, and as you would expect, he fucking gets stuck. But not just gets stuck, but he gets so far down that it's like getting narrower and narrower as it like, you know, moves into the house proper. But like actual chimneys, there's like a grate inside the chimney where he gets to it, and like there's nowhere to go. There's a fucking metal grate. Like where are you? Like you can't go down the chimney because they're meant to keep out like birds and raccoons and shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, and this is the thing, like, just the idea of being, like, going into a tunnel that gets narrower. I'm not a very claustrophobic person, but that shit freaks me out to no end. So that's where I get really claustrophobic. It's like when we do haunted houses and you have to like crawl through a tunnel and the tunnel gets smaller, and I'm like, no, I don't like this. Like, so the idea of climbing he's not, his mobility is going to be hindered because he's not used to having the fat suit on, and he's carrying this giant sack. So I'm picturing he would go like back first, like feet on one part of the wall, back on the other side of the wall, like slowly backing down the chimney, carrying the sack on his belly. And then like you're going to get to that point where it's too tight to move. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
That's fucking horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big no. That's no, thank you.
And quite frankly, like that was the whole horror story that I had in the beginning, was just like get stuck in the chimney and then what? Like, what do you do? And if he did bring a ladder and he was dumb enough to tie it to, you know, like a shingle or an aerial antenna or something that isn't going to hold his weight with the fat suit in the bag and everything, so he goes down there and he's trying to shimmy down, but he's got his weight on the rope, and then, you know, snap, that rope, you know, just comes flying at him down the chimney because it popped off. You know, and hell, maybe there's a piece of an aerial antenna that comes with it and like, you know, slashes him on the cheek or something, you know, just to make matters worse.
Right. Little open wound in the cold, you know.
Yeah, no big deal. You know, so, and then he like falls the rest of the way, and he falls in like a weird position where he's got one leg up behind him, like trapped, where it got so narrow, but now he can't get out because his calf is stuck up behind his thigh, and he can't put like enough like leverage on it to like unbend his leg or push himself up.
Oh, I'm glad I didn't go ahead and have some herbal refreshments before we started recording, because I'm getting a little freaked out just thinking about this. I'm stone sober.
It's making my palms a little sweaty. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. This is very effective, Josh. Like I'm a little, this is kind of creeping me out, man.
All right, good. That's good. Okay, so the timing of this is right when he like slams into the bottom of the chimney. It's just like, oh fuck, oh shit, like oh my god, my fucking leg, like what the hell. This is right when the party bus just comes rolling up to the mansion, and I specifically wanted it to be a party bus because the fucking music is blasting, like super loud, expensive, you know, speakers in this bus, lights are flashing.
I know it's not appropriate to the time period, but I'm glad
you said it because I was thinking it.
Oh man, the Venga bus. But yeah,
just because, you know, it would be like a period piece, you would have to just like put the tiniest Easter egg musical cue in there of like between the songs that you just hear And then it goes to something totally like 80s appropriate.
Jingle bell,
Oh.
jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Well, see, I was thinking more of like it would be like I'm thinking of the Run DMC one.
Christmas
play.
in Hollis?
Yes.
Yes, that's the one.
I love that song. It's Christmas time in Hollis, Queens.
Yes,
Mom's cooking
exactly.
chicken and collard greens. I love that fucking song, dude.
Right, like in Die Hard, he's like, can't you play some Christmas music? This is Christmas music.
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Man, but yeah, they're going to be blasting it like Hans and his girlfriend, Esther. They get off the bus all hand in hand. All these other people like pile off. They've got like bottles of champagne and they're smoking. They got cigars. You know, there's like people hanging all over. They all like pile into, you know, the mansion. And you see Jules for a minute in the chimney and you can hear this like thumping like bass boom of the music, like, you know, like muted in the chimney where he is. And you see him, and for a minute he's relieved, like, oh, okay, good. Oh, Hans is home, and he starts yelling, you know, like help, help. He starts yelling for help, but of course the music on the party bus is blasting. They're all just screaming and yelling, woohoo, and you know, being really loud. And then as soon as they get in the house, they like crank up the stereo in the house, and they just like keep the party going.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, we see the party is just like kicked off in the house. There's like people like dancing around with like, you know, garland necklaces. There's already girls on fucking tables like a minute in. They're throwing like glitter around for some fucking reason. You know, it's just it's an 80s movie, you know, party. And there's no wait staff, and I don't know if we want to like maybe mention that at some point in the dialogue at the beginning, like, oh, I gave, you know, all the wait staff the night off. It's just going to be like you, like no one, you know, it'll be a total surprise when you come down the chimney or some shit. But
yeah, no, I think that, yeah, we could have had a scene like that where maybe like they're bringing out, like we see Hans and Jules talking, and we see the waitstaff like bringing out all the like hors d'oeuvres and stuff, like setting the tables, getting everything, and then maybe like Hans, while he's talking to Jules, like what you need to do, maybe he's smoking a big old fucking stogie or something, and he's just giving like $100 tip to each one of the waitstaff and be like, all right, you got the rest of the night off, Merry Christmas, like that whole thing. And we could see like the waitstaff exiting. So yes, it is just going to be the party goers.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect for what I wanted, because I just wanted there to be food there, right? Because I think the next piece of the story is, you know, there's this party going while, you know, Jules is like screaming from inside the chimney. He can't get anybody's attention because it's too fucking loud.
Also, just like in 80s asshole tradition, he can't give his waitstaff money. It has to just be like a thank you card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually better.
What a douche.
He has to be that full 80s douche.
You know what? It could be like, so we like he maybe he even says something like, and one of you is going to get a big tip this year, and he's handing out gifts, like the cards, and then maybe like, you know, like one of the cooks or something opens up his card, and it's just to reference another 80s thing. It's the Jelly of the Month Club. And it's like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
And you see him like dropping in the snow as they're walking out.
Yeah,
like, fuck that.
Fucking douche. One of them like steals a bottle of like Cristal on the way out the door. Like, fuck these rich pricks.
Nice.
Okay, so here in the party sequence, this is like a little addition that I just came up with. So like roll with me on this. There should be another guy who is like given Esther, Hans's girlfriend, but he's given Esther like way too much attention. And this is a real like Steven Seagal looking dude, like hair greased black and back, and you know, he's got like his shirt unbuttoned to like, you know, below his nipples, like with all his chest hair popping out. He is just slimy looking. He's got like 3 gold like necklaces like popping out of his shirt, you know.
Like the bad guy in Karate Kid 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Terry Silver. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got like a terrible like little fucking ponytail with like a Christmas bow on it and shit.
Oh my god, I can picture that so perfectly. That's awesome.
And he's gonna walk up to Esther, who's dancing, and he's gonna like hold up like a mistletoe over her head and just be like, you know what this means, baby. And she's like, oh, stop, Hans is right over there. Hee hee. Like, she's into it, you know.
Yes.
so it's obvious that the two of them are like, giving each other way too much attention. Hans is getting drunk. He's paying attention to his other guests. He's not really caring. Jules is in the chimney trying to scream for help. Oh.
The perfect 80s comedy.
Of course.
Exactly. Maybe we come back to Jules and he's like, a fucking bird like lands on the edge of the chimney and poops on him, just making it worse.
Oh, no, dude. Okay. Oh no. We can ramp up the horror right here, because you said that the rope snapped and that TV aerial, like it slashed him across the face. Like, so he's got a big old cut on his face. So, and he can't really move. Like, maybe his arms are kind of tucked in a weird position. So like, yeah, like imagine like one of his arms is kind of like pressed between his shoulder and his body, so he can just like wiggle his one hand a little bit, and then his other arm is like maybe around behind his back, so he can't get his elbow out from around him, so it's just like one arm's like stacked behind him. Have the pigeon fucking land on his like shoulder and start pecking at his open wound.
Ah, yes.
Like in fucking Cat's Eye, where the dude has the ankle wound and the pigeon keeps fucking pecking it.
You fucking asshole.
And he's just waving his one little hand uselessly, like, get the fuck off of me, you fucking pigeon. He's like moving his head around. Yeah. It keeps fluttering and coming back and pecking more.
Yeah. What, did you want to make me squirm?
I think Josh has a fear of birds.
I don't, but like that sounds horrifying.
Right? It's like it's just making it more uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it's that like 127 hours like connection, even though like this would have taken place like years before, but like his arm is pinned like behind the gift bag, so yeah, he's like, it's like a foot from his face and he's waving his fingers like fucking shoo.
Oh, so freaky.
Oh man, so in the party, all this food is laid out, and you see Esther after she's like grinding on we'll just call him Terry. He's grinding on Terry,
Terry the douche.
Terry the douche, the real greasy looking dude. She's grinding on him, and then she like goes over to like get hors d'oeuvres, and she like, she gives Terry some, and she kind of like shoos him away, like, you're so silly, go dance with her over there or something. But then her facial expression changes for a second, and she like looks over at Hans, a little bit more serious this time, like, okay, there he is. And you see her put the hors d'oeuvre plate that she had in her hands that she gave some to Terry. She puts it down. She picks up another plate, and this one has shrimp on it. And so she walks over to, goes over to Hans, and they're dancing, and then she's like, "Oh, Hans, like you have got to try these. This is the best." And she grabs one of these shrimp, and then you see him just be like, "Oh wait, hang on, honey, I'm allergic." And she like shoves this shrimp in his mouth as he's trying to tell her, "I'm allergic to shellfish. Stop."
Oh no! So no one's gonna know this. Oh, you bastard! Like, I see what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you see Hans start choking and be like, "Oh God, I was trying to tell you. Like, I thought you knew already. I'm allergic to shellfish. Like, who ordered shrimp at the party? Like, my staff never would have put out shrimp. They're fucking fired." And his mouth is like swelling up, and his face is getting all purple.
Oh God!
And then you see, someone else. Esther's just watching him like, "Oh, honey, no, are you okay?" Just like, "Oh, you bitch." But
oh, that's brutal.
Somebody else at the party notices him, and just screams like, "Oh my God, like we need help, you need help, let's get out of here." And there's a bunch of like drunk, rich idiots. And so they all just start like trying to, it's this mentality where like every one of them thinks that they know the best answer, the best solution to every problem, because they're these like fucking alpha male like Wall Street douchebags, or they have no clue what to do whatsoever, because they're Wall Street douchebags.
I was gonna say they're alpha male Wall Street douchebags. Yeah, that makes
exactly
sense.
Right. So they start arguing, and they're like, someone call 911, or someone's like, no, like let's just like take him to the hospital ourselves. We got the bus, and like, like I know what to do. Like I'll give him CPR. Like he's not fucking having a heart attack, idiot. Like like the Heimlich maneuver. No, that's not it. Like they're like sort of like they're half drunk and arguing about it, and then eventually they decide, like, 911's going to take too long, and we're way out in the middle of the country. He sent all the wait staff and, butlers and shit home. So the best solution is everybody, like, let's get him on the party bus and go to the hospital. Like, let's go. A couple people, take him and they get on the bus and they're about to leave. And then you see other people come out of the party and they're like, this party's so dead. Let's go. So you see these other people. Some of them are like, wait for us, and they jump back in the party bus. Like, can we stop at like whatever hot nightclub? Like, can we stop at the nightclub first on the way there? Can you drop us off?
Right.
And
no, it has to. You've got to throw in a little like 80s product placement that doesn't even fit. So like these like rich uppity like well-dressed Wall Street people are like, can you stop at Burger King? I really want a Whopper.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
It's got to be this one like super drunk girl who like gets up real close in Esther's face and like breathes her like whiskey breath, like, I want a Whopper.
I love it.
And just to continue the product placement, someone in the background is like, "There's a home with a Whopper."
All just drunk and fumbling. This is home with a Whopper.
Oh god, yeah, exactly, right. So some of them are going on the bus. Somebody just like wanders off down the driveway. Like, good luck to that guy, But there's at least one guy who like looks all shifty-eyed, and he sees like the row of keys. Like, you put your keys by the front door, but this is like a rich show-off who's got them all labeled on like a chrome plate, And it's like, and you see this one guy who's just looking at him like, do I want the Porsche, or the Jaguar? And he just like he just takes some keys and looks around real quick, and it's just like whoop whoop whoop, and he like takes the dude's car.
Nice.
So long story short, because this is going a little bit longer than I hoped, but long story short, like the whole party's gone, Hans is gone, everybody leaves, and fucking Jules is still in the chimney, like, help, somebody, anybody.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he could be screaming the whole time. Like, we could do this cut back and forth. I think this would ramp up the tension. Like, for those, like, if this, in the event that this was a real movie, we would have, the scene with the pigeon. We'd have Jules screaming for help, and every time we cut down to the party, you just hear like some generic 80s Christmas music playing, and like you got to have someone dancing like Crispin Glover in Friday the 13th, just yes. Throwing his arms around wildly, like gesticulating in front of some big-haired lady, and just have people mingling and munching, and so it's like, and then we cut back up to Jules, and he's screaming like red-faced, veins bulging in his neck, just like, help me, and no one can hear him. So then, like, when you hear the door slam and the room goes quiet, you finally hear help me, and no one's there.
Ah, yes, I love it. Exactly.
See, the only thing I would add to that is that I feel like it needs to be almost like a high-speed jump back and forth cut. Like,
yeah.
From the moment Hans starts choking.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
To like the moment he starts choking, and then it cuts to Jules in the chimney, and he's just like, ah! And then it cuts back down to like chaos starting to break out at the party, and then back up to Jules and back and forth with the Christmas music also crescendoing in the background.
Nice.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yes.
To the point where, yeah, like then it builds to exactly like you said, to where everyone leaves. He finally lets out like that quiet, help me.
Yeah. Oh, fucking, I got chills, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that contrast between like Hans's face is all swelling up and Jules's face is all like red from screaming, like,
yeah.
Oh, I love it. And at some point in the chaos of everybody leaving, somebody has to like, spill their champagne all over the sound system, and it all shorts out in very comical 80s fashion with like sparks flying everywhere. So the music cuts out right as everybody's like taken off. Like the last person out the door was like, oh shit, sorry about your stereo. And then it's just dead silence, and you hear that, somebody help me.
Oh, that's creepy. That's so creepy.
Okay, first of all, the story could just end right there, and I would be totally satisfied if were watching this. It's just like, what happened to Jules? Like, it's a very creepy story. But let's go back inside the house. And we get back inside the house. And of course, don't forget, Jules has just screamed himself hoarse, right? He's already got that quieter voice. And so now we get back in the house and fucking Esther just like creeps out of a closet or someplace where she was hiding because, don't forget, she gave Hans that shrimp hors d'oeuvre on purpose.
Oh,
She
yeah.
caused that chaos. She wanted him to leave the party. I don't know that she expected the whole party to take off, but maybe she can even make a mention of that. And who's she going to mention it to? Fucking Terry, who's been hiding behind the couch this whole goddamn time with a stupid douchey ass ponytail.
And his little bow in his hair.
So, Esther creeps out and I'm actually I didn't describe them this way quite as much, but I do keep picturing Julia Louis-Dreyfus and her boyfriend, the neighbors.
Yes.
I was
Christmas
picturing
vacation.
them that way.
Yeah.
I was legitimately picturing that. I love that.
That's perfect.
I'm
Hip hip
I'm sorry,
hooray for Christmas vacation.
I didn't mean to like just trample all over what you were
Yeah.
saying, but I got excited because I was like, holy shit, me too.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. Yeah. Okay, so Esther, or Julia Louis-Dreyfus, right? Esther comes out and Terry comes out and they're like, "Oh, good, he's gone. That worked way better than I thought. I didn't think everybody would leave, but makes it easier on us." And okay, so I don't help me out here. I need the improv help. I've been kind of driving the story, doing a lot of the talking on this one, and this is where I get stuck because they wanted Hans to leave the house on purpose because they want to be alone in the house. Like they're looking for something. There's there's like bearer bonds, there's a treasure, there's blackmail fodder. There's something like, what's the best thing that they could be looking for that they had to get rid of Hans?
His watch collection.
There you go.
His expensive imported watch collection that will set them up for life.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
works.
yeah, that works.
It also feels very in line with like a Tales from the Crypt thing.
Yes.
Because like it's something that you could lay in throughout the story, like right off the bat. Like Hans shows up and he's like, "Hey man, what do you think of what do you think of my watch? It's imported in $50,000."
Yes, and he's like always going on about his watches, and he's yes, I love it.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like the gift bag we said before is going to have like Rolexes and stuff in it. And
Yeah.
maybe when he shows it to Jules and Jules is like, "Oh man, like fucking Rolexes," and then Hans just like, "Those are for peasants."
Yes.
fucking douchebag.
Yeah. I hate these people, and I came up with them.
I only spent $100,000 on those watches. It was pocket change.
Oh man, no, that's perfect. Yeah, so they're like, okay, we gotta find the watch collection, and like it'll set us up for life. Or they can be like, we only have to take 3 or 4 of them. He has so many, he'll never know they're gone, and we'll be set up for life, and we can get the fuck out of here and like leave this this creepy guy behind. Like, and Esther's just like, oh, she like shivers, and she's like, I can't stand thinking about how I let him touch me just so I could do this with you.
Right?
Yeah, so they go around the house and they're like looking for the watches, and you see Jules, he's still in the chimney, but now his voice is like hoarse and he's still trying to yell like help, but it's raspy and he can't like build up the volume to like properly scream for help. And now, okay, let's ramp up the horror for Jules in the chimney. Like, should there be maybe like a winter storm that's gonna like cyclone some freezing air down this chimney?
Oh God, yeah.
See,
Of course.
I was going to go the opposite direction and say that Esther was going to like say something like along the lines of after the shiver, be like, I can't believe I let him touch me. It gives me the chills. Can we start a fire?
Yes.
I think we combine the two. I think
Yeah.
while they're looking, the snow outside kicks up. Like, maybe even have Terry make a comment of like, oh, looks like the storm's finally hitting, and then have like the wind howling down and like just stinging it at Jules' face and have him like wincing against the cold. But again, he can't even shield his face because his arms are blocked. So he's just like, just wincing against the stinging cold. And remember, he's got a fucking open bird-pecked wound on his cheek.
Yep.
So,
and don't forget too that when he got hot on the roof because he was sweating from climbing off the ladder, he opened up his coat to like get a little air in. So now he's trapped and his coat is open, and so he's freezing even more because like his neck is getting covered with like snow like starting to pile up.
Oh God. And then so we cut inside and we have, just like Josh said, we have her make the comment of like, oh, it gives me the chills. Can we start a fire? And then Terry could, maybe that's when Terry could even say, he could be like, yeah, that storm's kicking up outside pretty good. Let's get a fire going. And so now he's gonna have a fire underneath him and a storm above him.
Yeah. I love this. Okay, so let's drive this to the end, right? So, poor, oh, I'm laughing, but it's like, oh, poor Jules. He's being like cooked and frozen at the same time.
he's in a microwave. He's gonna get really, really hot and really, really cold in the middle.
Yeah. So let's have it that they find the watches. You see this huge collection, and of course Terry's trying to take them all, and Esther's like, no, stop, like, he'll know, idiot, like, he knows who you are, you were at the party, like, it wouldn't be that hard for him to figure it out, like, we just gotta take a couple, and he'll never know, he'll just think that he was giving them away to the party guests when he was drunk. He does that shit all the time, right? So we gotta just get the best ones. And so they take a couple, and of course, as Esther like walks out of the room in front of Terry, he stops for a second and just like grabs 3 more real quick and shoves them in his back pocket.
And like the douche he is.
Like the douche he is, right? So they go back downstairs, and this is where they make the comment of like, Esther's like, okay, I got him, it was worth it, like all those weeks I spent with him, like, oh, I can't believe I let him touch me like that. And then this whole thing where Terry's like, oh, let's light the fire, or sorry, let me back that up, they lit the fire already, we did that, now they come back downstairs, let's have Terry go over and like stoke the fire, like make it hotter.
Yeah.
And it should be one of those fireplaces that's fueled by, like, it's natural gas. It's not like an actual like wood. So he goes over and he can like turn up this like gas knob on the wall, and the fire just roars up. And maybe he starts telling some stupid story about it reminds me of my beloved childhood when I used to visit my my grandfather's cabin. I fucking hated that place.
Yes, because of course he would.
Of course.
Yeah.
But, and he starts going off on a stupid rant about like stupid Christmas and my stupid family and like, Hans and his stupid party. And like, I don't know why anybody likes all this bullshit. And he's just standing there warming his hands, like feeling real good about himself because they just pulled off this like little heist, and, he's warming himself up before they leave. And then you see Esther creeping up behind him, and she's got her purse on, and she pulls a little like 38 out of her purse, and she's just like creeping up behind him, like lifting the gun. And then you see Terry, and he grabs the fire poker and he whips around. He's like, I knew it. I knew you were going to try and backstab me, bitch.
I'm kind of disappointed in myself because I genuinely didn't see this coming. I was like, I should have known. It's a Tales from the Crypt, but I didn't even know.
Well, I was thinking you're going to have some kind of like ironic twist. So I was like, I just invented these 2 characters. I'm like, I'm just going to put him here, and like we'll just play with them like toys, and we'll figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah, it works.
So Terry spins around with a poker, and hell, maybe while he was standing there pretending to warm his hands, he like stuck it in the fire and like warmed it up. So it's like a red hot poker. And then Esther's got this little handgun that she pulled out of her purse, and she's pointing it at him, and she's shaking a little bit, like like, don't make me do it, Terry, like I was with Hans so I could get to his collection. I was with you so you could help me get to the collection. We're both adults here, so let's just realize like what's going on,
Right.
And of course Terry's like, you bitch, like I thought you loved me or something stupid. It's like, but whatever. Like they have a little back and forth. They're arguing. Terry goes to swing the poker, and Esther like takes a shot. She shoots him. Maybe she hits him in like the shoulder, and then he stops, and it's just like, I can't believe you shot me. But don't forget, she's been shaken because she's nervous. She's never done this before. So he starts coming at her again because she wasn't expecting him to keep coming after that first shot. Now she's even more nervous, and she's shaking, and she fires the gun again. She completely misses him this time, except she shoots the gas pipe right behind him from where he had just turned up the fire, and it fucking explodes.
Oh, no. Okay. Of course it does.
And it's a huge gas explosion. He had just opened it up all the way to like, crank up the fire. You see Terry get completely like shot forward like a bullet right at Esther, like slams right into her. You should hear that audible like of like their skulls cracking together.
Yeah.
They both go down like on fire. He's completely on fire, already dead or at least passed out, like laying on top of her. And she's screaming and like the fire is spreading to her. They got knocked like all the way across the floor, like away from the door. And then, of course, we got to see what happened to Jules when the explosion went off. He's been stuck in the chimney this whole time. And it was a huge explosion, like boom. And the aftershock flings him up out of the chimney, like a fucking cork.
He gets launched. I knew it.
Yes. Launched like a cork out of the chimney. He lands on the roof in the snow, just lands hard. And then you see that camera like pointed directly down at his face. And he does that like that scene like Joe Pesci in Home Alone when he falls on the ice the very first time and he just goes,
smoke coming off of him because his whole ass end got lit on fire, but now it's put out because he's in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And then we got to cut back downstairs and see what happened. You see Esther, and she's stuck underneath Terry, this big dude, like muscular dude, and she's trying to push him off of her. He's on fire, so she doesn't want to touch him. Like, ow, 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 right? And she's just trying to escape. And then you see her, like, trying to, like, she's clawing her way along the floorboards, like breaking her fingernails, trying to pull herself to the door. Terry's still on her legs, just on fire. And you see her get almost to the front door as the fire creeps up her back and onto her hair. Her 80s Aquanet, like way too much hairspray.
Yes.
It goes up like a candle, and you see her scream, ah! And like, that's the end of her. We hear that scream like echo up onto the roof, and you see Jules like startle awake, like he had passed out for a second, and he hears that scream like, oh my God, what's going on? And you see him like go to get up, and he looks down, and his own like legs are on fire, and the bag of gifts is laying next to him on fire. So he stops, drops, and rolls on the snow on the roof. He's rolling around, but he's on a roof and he's disoriented. So he goes rolling off the edge, like toward where the ladder was. He's like, oh no. He tries to stop himself. It's all slippery because it's ice and snow. He gets to the edge of the roof, and his leg hits that same like loop of lights that he ripped off earlier. He goes flying off the side of the roof, gets caught in the lights. One string goes around his neck, twists his head all the way around backwards, and a big audible snap.
Oh no.
And then we cut to the big mansion, like, down the road a little bit. And then there's like this other rich family, and they're like, little Susie, it's always been our tradition in our house that you can pick like one gift, on Christmas Eve, to open before Christmas morning. And you've made a fine choice with that professional astronomer's telescope there. And you see her like, look through the telescope, and she's training it around. And then she just zeroes in on Jules with his head, Santa Claus with his head twisted around, caught in those string lights. And then you just see her, the little girl, scream at the top of her lungs. The camera rushes into the darkness of her mouth. Black.
Perfect. Bravo.
Well, kids, it sounds like Esther's going to have a very terry Christmas. As for Jules, I guess you could say he's just another diamond in the rough. But as for now, he looks more like a dangling piece of coal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Dude, that was a lot of fun.
that was. I'll be honest, dude. Like, I really thought Jules was gonna get away. I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, he's gonna get his leg caught in the lights. He's gonna fall down. He's gonna get up, look around. There's gonna be the 2 dead bodies in the house. He's gonna be like all burnt and charred, and then just reach into the sack, pull out a random set of car keys, and start hitting the button until one of the cars turns out, and be like, all right, this is mine now, and just drives himself to the hospital.
That would have been really good. I think that would have been a regular Raised by Rentals episode, but this is a
Yes.
Tales from the Crypt episode.
So having the little guy, I like where you went with it.
Yeah,
that was
that
was
little
fun.
girl saying it was a perfect Tales from the Crypt ending.
I mean, I'm a little worried now. I feel like you brought your A game, and I'm over here. I only got a real basic, like, loose idea for a story. So shit.
No, I'm excited for it though, because you told me a little bit about what it was, and I actually think it's a really, really cool idea. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Like, I literally just had, I want to get rich guy's poor friend agrees to be Santa Claus, stuck in a chimney, everyone leaves the party. Oh fuck, he's there by himself. That's all I had. That was the whole premise. Everything else was just on the fly today.
That was fun. I had a lot of fun with that episode.
Nice.
Oh god.
All right, so Mike, it's your turn. Crypt Keeper, we need a little
Our
introduction.
second tale of the evening is a for love episode taking place on the courts. It's about an office party gone wrong, and I won't bore you with the details before we get started, but I will ask, tennis anyone?
Yes, that's perfect. So, as the Crypt Keeper said, it is called Tennis Anyone, and this little story came up with the idea on the fly. I was trying to think of something I haven't seen before, and Tales from the Crypt, I always think of like the monkey's paw from the movie. You know, how it's like the be careful what you wish for, the cursed object, that type of thing. So I was trying to come up with an idea for a cursed object. So the idea is our main character is a guy named Willie. I immediately thought of Uncle Willie from Demon Knight, so Willie.
Really?
Willie. But he's going to be, you know, your average like, you know, call center employee working in a big bullpen of like call center type idea where he, you know, picture Office Space. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like everybody's miserable, nobody likes their job. It's just, you know, he's a 9-to-5 call center slub. Just miserable in every way. One day on his ride home from work, he's riding the subway. Some random disheveled old man sits down next to him and just like muttering to himself. And like, you know, we've all been in that situation at one time or another where public transit or out in a public place and some weirdo starts muttering to you. Like, what do? You just pretend nothing's happening, you know, eyes down, don't make contact, like just pretend. So the guy's sitting there, and right as the first stop comes along, the old man shoves this like badly wrapped item at him with like all wrapped in newspaper. And he's like, that's a gift. Do you accept it? Do you accept my gift? Do you accept it? Willie's like, yeah, okay, man, I accept it. And then the guy walks away and he goes, I'm free. I'm finally free. And he runs away. So Willie's looking down like, what the fuck? And he opens up the newspaper and it's this like really gaudy, bad paperweight. But it's of like a buxom blonde swinging a tennis racket, and it just says Tennis Anyone. And there's a little button on the bottom, so every time you set the paperweight down on your papers, this bad electronic voice just goes, Tennis Anyone? Just like real quiet. And he's like, what the fuck? This is garbage. And he's like, what the hell was that all about? So, you know, he gets off at his stop. He throws the little paperweight into the garbage, dusts his hands of it, goes to his apartment building, opens the front door, and there's the fucking paperweight sitting on his front table. Just goes, Tennis Anyone? As he opens the door, he's like, what the hell? Like, right? How did you get here? So now I don't know all the details yet, but he's going to start having a string of bad luck. So it's going to start small at first. Like, you know, his alarm doesn't go off. There's a power outage. So he's late to work. You know, then maybe he spills coffee on himself. Just like little things keep happening, like really bad things keep happening. And they keep ramping up. So I don't know. This is where I'm going to need the help. How does he figure out it's the object that's cursed? Is he going to track down the homeless man? Like, does he keep trying to throw the object away? And does it keep, I think it should just keep appearing every time he tries to throw it away.
I think it should be a combination of both of those things. I think it should be one of those things where like it casually starts showing back up and he doesn't put it together until he's like taking it home and notices that like and that guy sits back down next to him and is looking much better.
Okay, so it's like a couple days later.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we'll have like the first day, you know, he throws it out on his way home. It appears at the apartment. He's like, what the fuck? And like, maybe he grabs it and like walks it downstairs and throws it in the dumpster. Just like, fuck this thing. Like, what the hell? And then, the next morning, wakes up late. There's a power outage. Like, oh, fuck, I'm running late for work. He's making his coffee. He's going to pour his cup of coffee. And then he hears from behind him, Tennis Anyone? And he fucking spills his coffee on himself. He's like, son of a bitch, where'd you come from?
Yes. I like that it's directly the cause of some of the bad luck.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to your point, like he should get up and like he throws it away again. He's already tried it twice. Maybe he just like swipes it into like the little waste paper basket that's like in the break room, and then he's just like, oh, what the hell? Like, it goes back to his office. Maybe you see him like, changing into a clean shirt or something. He picks up, or maybe somebody comes into his little cubicle area and they're just like, dude, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be like in the staff meeting like 2 minutes ago, man. Like, it's your turn to, give boss man like the weekly report or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be something like, wait, why are you here? Didn't you read the memo? And he's like, what memo? And it never showed up on his desk. Like we could like pan to like the interdepartmental office, like the mail room, and we just see like Willie, whatever his last name, Willie Schlub. We see on like it was supposed to go to him but never got delivered. He's like crap, and he's got coffee down himself, and has to go to this meeting late. So
Yes.
It's just he's looking worse and worse.
Wait, can I interrupt?
Absolutely.
This for a second? Okay, so I'm getting like real life professional office like space, flashbacks, because thank God this did not happen to me, but I worked in offices for so long that a lot of like super embarrassing things happen. I did once accidentally like walked into a bathroom with my headset on and I forgot I was still on a phone call, and thank God I wasn't using the toilet, but like people could hear flushing over the phone and I'm like, oh God, I thought I hung up on this call.
That's awesome.
But there was another time when this guy, he came into our office in Austin. He flew from our Denver office to give a presentation, and he was like waiting for his time to like go into like, it's like the big boardroom with like all of the local execs and people who flew in for this presentation. And somebody came out. I used to sit like 3 cubicles away, so I saw most of it and heard everything. And somebody came out of the office and was like, okay, Matt, they're ready for you. And he was on the phone or something and got startled, and he like jumps out of the chair and spills his coffee right in his lap. Full cup of coffee all over his khakis. It went all over his like I remember he was wearing a red polo, all over the floor and all over his shoes, and he's just standing there dripping like, oh my God. And she's just like, oh my God, dude, that sucks, but like they're waiting, and he literally had to get his laptop and go in that conference room and give that report like douched in coffee.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God.
That fucking sucks. Like the only thing I can equate that to at my job is something that happened recently where our boss has not handled a lot of things in our office lately and has pushed that responsibility off on a couple of us. And one of the day shift workers, I'm not going to name any names, but they were working and asked if the boss was in yet, and found out that he wasn't. And she was like, oh, I wonder when our illustrious leader will start rolling in, forgetting that she was still on the overhead from a previous page.
Oh, shit.
So everyone in the hospital heard, I wonder when our illustrious leader will come rolling in. So she proceeded to get call after call after call of people being like, dude, you were on the overhead. Everyone heard that.
Oh,
and
God.
Somebody let the boss know, because when he came in, he's like, yeah, your illustrious leader finally rolled in. I was like, oh, no.
That's a good joke, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that sucked.
Oh, the last example I'll give, and I have so many because I worked in an office for such a long time. But anyway, I actually had to fire this person. I had to fire them, and I felt so bad because I liked them, and they weren't like the best employee, but I liked them as a person. And I had actually, been on like a team that like hired them, so they worked for me like their entire time when I was a manager. Anyway, I got called into my boss's office one day to have to take a look at an angry email from a customer. And long story short is this person who used to work for me had a kind of a bad temper, and like a lot of people working in offices just fucking hated the customers, just hated them. So every time they had to answer the phone or answer an email, you would hear this person just grumbling. And I'm just going to call her Andrea, even though that's not her name. And as Andrea would just be grumbling, and I saw this email from this angry customer, and I was like, I don't get it at first. And my boss is like, keep scrolling. And I scroll all the way to the bottom of this thread. It's like 3 or 4 replies down. And at the bottom of the email thread, in huge purple letters, it says, thank you, goodbye, fuck off and die now. Yeah.
Oh
from
my
Andrea.
God.
because what happened was Andrea was replying to an email from this customer that was pissing her off, and so she wrote that in her silly personalized font as a joke and meant to erase it, like, oh, fuck you, Mr. Customer, ha ha ha, delete, 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 and then write the real email. Except she forgot to delete it and wrote the real email right above it, like, dear Mr. Customer, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, let me be of assistance. And then you scroll down to like, fuck off and die now. Yeah.
Now, I know I don't want to derail the show too much longer, but I gotta say that the worst one I've personally done is having to deal with a really annoying caller that was just a complete jackass and kept calling back. I couldn't help them with what they wanted. No one could, because what they were asking would have broken HIPAA laws. There was nothing I could do to help them. Kept telling them that. I thought I hung up. I took my headset off, but I didn't hang up. And I was like, fucking idiot. And they called back and they were like, what'd you say? And I was like, what? And I just played dumb. I was like, oh shit, they totally caught me. That was when I was much younger and newer to the job. But
yeah. So my point is, I can totally understand like Willie's office anxiety of like, fuck man, I got like coffee spilled all over myself. I missed the memo. I'm late for the meeting. I'm supposed to it's my turn to give the report this week or whatever.
Right. And so and on his way, we could have on his way into the office, he could grab that damn paperweight and just maybe he throws it in the lunchroom garbage can, just fuck this thing.
Yeah.
Goes in, has his meeting, while he's having the meeting, and maybe he's doing a presentation, like Josh was saying, the guy had to do. So it's have him doing the presentation. And at the back of the room where you have the table with the coffee maker and the coffee cups and all that, he just sees the statue standing there as just with the, so yeah, as I was saying, the report, we're down this quarter. Just totally throws him off his game. So he looks like a jackass in front of everybody, and he can't figure out what the fuck is going on with this thing. So let's fast forward it a little bit. He's having a really bad day, and on his way home to as Josh mentioned, he's on his way home. Maybe some guy sits down next to him, and he's really well-to-do. He's in a nice suit. He's got he's perfectly groomed, nice watch on him. And have Willie look over and do a double take, and it's the guy. It's the homeless guy that he thought it was homeless guy. Just be nice. What the hell? What? No. What did you? He's like, yeah, sorry, buddy. He's like, I had to get rid of that thing. He's like, I'm here to tell you what you got to do. And have him just be like, oh shit. What are you talking about? He's like, you have to give it away as a gift. It has to be accepted as a gift. Otherwise, you're going to continue this streak of bad luck. It was given to me. I didn't know the curse. I got fucked over for months. It's like, I'm sorry. You were the first person I saw. I gave it to you. Now you have to pass it along to somebody else. But it's important that they accept it as a gift. And have him be like, dude, I don't have any fucking friends or family. I don't know anyone. Who's going to accept a gift from me? He's like, that's for you to figure out. And he just gets off the subway at the next stop.
Okay, jerk. This guy has to be Tony Todd.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
80s Tony Todd. Perfect.
Yes.
Because, and again, Tony Todd has played that, I don't want to say the narrator, but kind of the narrator character in how many fucking horror movies? Where he just pops up and explains what's going on, yes. Final Destination.
Right? And you know who I'm thinking of is for Willie is somebody what's that guy's name from Perfect Strangers? Not Balky, the other guy. Mark Lynn.
Oh,
I just looked it up. Something like that. Or that dude from House 2. Oh, what's his name? House 2, the second story.
Yeah,
He was in the Tales from the Crypt episode where they played the Siamese twins who wanted to get the split.
Yes.
Oh my God, why can't I think of that actor's name? I just saw him in something too.
Is it Arya Gross? Is that the guy? Or
it's the other guy, Jonathan Stark.
Oh yeah. Oh shit, we just saw him in fucking Fright Night, right? He's in Fright Night, isn't he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he plays Dandridge's like daytime manservant, like his sexually ambiguous manservant.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I like that. I like this guy's look for Willie. I think it's a good, like, office drone kind of everyman looking dude.
Well, plus he has that surprised face. He does the surprised face over and over again in House 2. And I feel like every time the, tennis anyone pops, he'd be like, "Gah!" Like he'd have that look.
Exactly. Somehow they have to get Howie Mandel to do the voice of the tennis anyone.
Or Frank Welker, one of the
Yeah.
other. It's like fucking Megatron coming out of a buxom blonde. Well, I mean, it is the 80s, so it would be like that weird digitized voice.
See, I when you said Frank Welker, my brain immediately went to like Freddie Jones.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So like it's an almost digitized Freddy from Scooby-Doo. Just tennis anyone?
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like the little woman statue, and the look on her face is like, very seductive. Like tennis anyone is supposed to be some kind of like a come hither, like thing, like phrase. Like tennis anyone.
We missed the most obvious person that it should be. It should be the only female cast member in the episode, and it should be Adrienne Barbeau.
The computer from The Thing. Yes.
Yes, that's perfect. Okay. Okay, so do we want Willie to like immediately figure out like, okay, I gotta give it as a gift, but I don't have any friends, I don't have any family, like,
Oh no, I think he should struggle with it. I think he should be like, do I just randomly give this to a person? Maybe he even tries. Maybe he like the next day on the subway, he has it all wrapped up in like, nice Christmas wrapping paper, and he just walks up to a random person. He's like, "Here, this is a gift for you." And they're like, "No, get the fuck away from me, you weirdo." And like he keeps trying, and maybe he even goes to the office and he tries to like give it to the secretary, and she's like, "Oh no, that's okay, Willie. I don't need anything from you. That's okay. You go back to your desk now." Like,
yeah, exactly.
Just kind of blows him off.
We gotta see him like getting drunk at a bar, and like some like real big tough looking dude with like his sleeves ripped off sits right next to him, and then Willie's like, "Hey, I got a gift for you," and he like reaches down in his pocket, and the big dude's like, "You fucking queer," and like socks him one.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my god! So yeah, he's just still having bad luck because he has the fucking statue or the paperweight. So, and, like we could have a couple of scenes of this. So we see like it's getting closer to Christmas. Like, we'll see, like the Salvation Army Santa Claus is outside, like as he's walking to the subway. We see the snow coming down, and he's just looking more and more disheveled. He's not sleeping right. And like this thing is startling him constantly. And maybe that's the thing. Like we could even have funny startling moments, like where he gets up in the middle of the night to go take a leak and he's pissing, and then you're trying to send anyone. He jumps and like pisses all over the back of his toilet. He's like, "What the fuck?" And it's just in the shower for some reason.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Oh, and like his whole life needs to be like going down like the shitter, right? Like every time you see him, his hair looks worse. He hasn't shaved. You can see like sweat stains under his armpits, even though it's cold outside.
His black eye never heals quite right.
Right. It's like getting just more purple and yellow looking.
Yeah, exactly. Just looking real gross, and like maybe like every time he comes out of his apartment, like his landlord is like some old lady in like a muumuu and a hairnet standing there, like you gotta do something about the smell in there, schlub, or something, like
your rent check is 2 weeks late.
Yeah. Just everything's going bad for him, and help, maybe at work, maybe he like, he screws up again and he gets relegated to like, he's like, gonna have to go ahead and ask you to move your desk down to the basement or something,
But you took my red stapler. Sorry, that made me think of Office Space.
At some point, there needs to be a moment with the landlord where like you hear "tennis anyone" from inside the apartment, and it's just immediately like, "You can't have other people living here. You know that. I'm gonna have to increase your rent."
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And she needs to be played by the chick what plays Ma Fratelli.
Yes.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh my god. So yeah, so like he has all these bad things happening over and over. And again, most of them are comical, like I said, pissing on the back of the toilet, spilling coffee on himself, all that kind of thing. Well, after trying to give it away multiple times, we should have him like just looking defeated, like sitting at work, playing with a pencil, and the paperweight's sitting next to him going, "Tennis, anyone?" And he's just like, he's just fucking like he's given up. And then we could have someone like, the office busybody, like wearing one of those like wreath necklaces and an ugly Christmas sweater and a Santa hat and elf ears. Be like, "Hey, Willie, did you hear the office Christmas party's coming up this weekend?" And he's like all excited about it. Yep. And he's just like, Willie doesn't even respond. He just looks up and the statue goes, "Tennis, anyone?" So he's like, yeah, it's a white elephant. We're all going to buy a gift and then we get to swap them and trade them and steal from everyone. It's going to be a hoot, and he's like, okay. And he's like, you got to be there. And then he looks down at the paperweight and we see the wheels turning. Like, he's like, white elephant. Okay, I can get rid of this thing. Like, I got to accept it as a gift. Exactly. But of course, no one's going to want it because it's a shitty gift. So,
yeah, we should just cut straight to that. Like, maybe for the first time, in weeks, he's walking into, back into work and he's looking real chipper. He still looks like dirty and rumpled, but he's got like a happy look on his face. Like, tonight's the night. I'm gonna get rid of this thing. And
he finally shaved, but he still has the black eye. He's finally like put on new clothes, but they're wrinkly.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe
he's got cuts from shaving.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe he goes so far as to like, put on like a Santa tie, like for the holiday party.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we see him like saunter back into the office, and he's just looking real excited. He's like, "So where do I put this thing?" And he's got it all wrapped up, and then you hear muffled from inside, "Turn the center on."
Yes.
But yeah,
yes.
That like that busybody guy. Did you give him a name? Since we have like that other character, we can use him again right here as like, he's like what we used to call like, the office mom, or the person who isn't actually like the office manager, but just takes it upon themselves to like decorate for the holidays and like, get everyone to volunteer for the potluck dinners.
Right.
Ethan. His name is Ethan.
Perfect. That absolutely. I was going to say Charlie, but Ethan works better. I like that. So, yeah. So, okay. So he's going to be like maybe the one collecting all the gifts. Like, as soon as Willie walks in, he could be like, he could hand him the package, and that's what it could be like. "Turn us anyone." He'll be like, "Oh, Willie, I know what your gift is," and have Willie just look at him like, "Fuck you." Maybe he can even surprise. Maybe he can even be like, "It's a surprise, Ethan. Go fuck yourself," as he walks away. Like,
exactly.
I hope you get it, you prick.
He's like, "Well, you have yourself a merry little Christmas."
Exactly. So like, then we're gonna of course have the scene of the party mingling where you got everyone just kind of drinking and joking, and of course it's the 80s, so everyone's smoking. There's just like a cloud of smoke hanging above the office. So everyone's just like having a good time, and then eventually someone like will have Ethan stand up and like tink his wine glass and be like, "It's time for the white elephant, everyone, get in a circle." Like, so they all go and circle around the Christmas tree, and the gift giving starts. And this is where we'll have the moment of like, we'll be doing the close up on like Willie's face over it. Like every time a gift gets grabbed, he's like, it's not the one. It's not the one. Like he's waiting to see who grabs it. And then we could have just like, maybe his boss grabs it. And he's just like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll see how this goes." And then he opens the present and he's just like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "I thought the, limit was $40. It's like, this doesn't look like it costs that." He's like, "Hey, Beth, give me your gift." And he just like grabs like, I don't know, it's like maybe a remote control car or something semi fancy, but silly.
Yeah.
And so now we trade it around, and eventually it ends up coming back to Willie. He's just like, "Hey, I really want that book of crosswords. I'm going to take your book of crosswords." So he like grabs it, and then like, someone else transfers the statue around. It comes back to Willie. He can't do anything with it. He can't get rid of it. And then he's like,
sorry, real quick, you should have Ethan to be like, "Okay, everyone, we've done like 2 rounds. Everyone's had a turn to steal. These are your final." Whoa. And then Willie jumps in like, no, like the party's just young. Like, let's keep it going. Let's go around again, right? You guys want to go around again, right?
Exactly. Like he's trying to shirk the 3 rule or the 3 steal rule. So they're passing around. Eventually, I think the white elephant should end where Willie he can't get rid of the fucking thing. Like he still has the damn paperweight, and have Ethan this is where I think the episode should end because I kind of have a funny ending here. So have Ethan come up to him and nudge him and be like, no one wants that paperweight, Willie. I guess you're stuck using it over and over and over again. Just keeps on nudging him the whole time. And Willie's just like, you know what? Fuck you, Ethan. And he just starts bashing Ethan's face in with the paperweight. And it's like, tennis anyone? Tennis anyone? Over and over as he's bashing. And the whole office is freaking out. They call the cops. The music swells. We see Willie getting walked away in handcuffs. He's just like, fucking tennis. I don't even like tennis. Fuck all of you. And he's just he fucking snapped.
Oh yeah, dude, that's fucking great. Hang on, let's back up for a second. Right, I love that. No, I love
the tennis anyone bashing had me laughing.
Yes. Tennis anyone? Tennis anyone? Tennis anyone? Clang, clang, clang. I'm but when Ethan walks up to Willie, to say that, well, it looks like you're stuck with it, ha ha ha. This is when the camera angle starts to get as anxious as Willie is. What I mean is when we see
the
Ethan
Tales
walk
from
up,
the Crypt camera angles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Where the camera zooms in really close on Ethan's teeth, and he's smiling real big, and maybe he's got something stuck in the tooth from the hors d'oeuvres. And then, you see him smile and laugh, and you see his eyes squeeze shut real cartoony, and his fucking glasses are shaking up and down. It's just this over the top. And then the super close in on Willie's face, and he's sweating, and you can see him just thinking I'm going to kill this motherfucker. I'm going to kill this motherfucker,
And while that's happening, we could be panning around the room, have Willie's eyes darting around, and just see people slow-mo laughing, everyone's all happy. He's losing his shit. And then we just hear everything is silent. As we see the people chuckling, we see the lights, everyone's drinking, having a good old time. And then we just see a close up on Willie's eyes, and we hear, tennis anyone? And that's when it snaps back to reality. And he just starts beating the shit out of Ethan.
Yes. Tennis anyone? Tennis anyone? Tennis anyone?
He's like, I fucking hate tennis.
Do we want to fast forward to him sitting in the holding cell at the jail, and he's just I fucking hate tennis, fucking tennis. Who the fuck plays tennis these days? I fucking hate tennis.
I feel like he should just be in the jail cell muttering, tennis anyone? Tennis anyone? Tennis anyone?
Yes.
I think that's the perfect ending. Because originally I was going to say, because what Josh just said, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we see the cops outside and the one cop is just laughing hey, check this thing out. And it was just a paperweight sitting on the desk that was the same paperweight.
Yes.
And have Willie just going, tennis anyone? Tennis? Just rocking back and forth.
Yes, that's pretty close to what I was saying. Somehow the paperweight is there, but it's not making any noise anymore because now Willie's the one who's saying it.
Oh God! So yeah, he goes. It's a tale of Christmas insanity.
You know what they say, kiddies. No pain, no game. Well, I sure hope Ethan finds room for one gore, because Willie's going to have a holiday behind bars. That's it for tonight, kiddies. Pleasant screams and happy holidays.
Yes,
that was fucking awesome. That was so perfect.
We did it. We did a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Woo!
Dude, that was a lot of fun. That was way better than I thought we were gonna do with that. I am so happy with how that came out.
Hell yeah, dude. Your idea was just as good, if not better. I fucking loved that stupid little paperweight.
No, I feel like they both fit perfectly in the Tales from the Crypt universe.
I couldn't agree more. And honestly, that was the thing that I was stuck on. I was like, what is going to be the hook that, and when I felt I was literally standing in the shower, stoned out of my mind because I had just smoked an entire bowl. And I'm standing in the shower thinking about this. And I was like, what is it? It's the paperweight's got to be something stupid that's not Christmas related. And at first it was a golf thing. And I was like, oh yeah, it could be a golf statue. And then I went, oh, it should be someone a tennis lady. Yeah. With the short skirt and it doesn't match Christmas at all. It's kind of buxom. And then I thought, tennis anyone? And I couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, yes, it's got to be an electronic paperweight. Has nothing to do with Christmas except that it's a gaudy, stupid gift.
If it had been a golf trophy, there would have been jokes about balls.
Yes.
To be fair, like gaudy, stupid gifts are very much what Christmas is sometimes about.
Yes.
This is true. This is very true.
This is the perfect opportunity to say this about like a stupid Christmas gift that will be appreciated. So Ruth, we have a very, very nice, like one of those very expensive fuzzy blankets that Ruth's sister gave us a while back.
Mhm.
And Ruth will always toss it aside and pull out the chopsticks when she wants to eat hot Cheetos.
Mhm.
But then inevitably ask me to toss her a different blanket.
Okay.
So I got her a specific Hot Cheetos branded Snuggie.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she never has to be cold while she eats her Hot Cheetos.
I love it. I always get Jess some kind of like fun blanket for Christmas, and like last year I got her a shining blanket. So it's the shining carpet, but it's
Hell yeah.
fuzzy
Oh,
blanket.
nice.
And this year I found one that has like these really cool like graffiti style ghosts. It's like a fleece blanket with it, but all of the ghosts glow in the dark.
Ooh.
So it's
that's
like,
cool.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. But man, yeah, hell, this was a hell of a lot of fun, this episode. Like I agree with you. Like I came to this thinking like I have a nugget of a story that I kind of already overthought. Like I guess we'll see where it goes. And like that was a hell of a lot of fun. And you had already told me your idea, so I was like, fuck yeah, dude, like that's a great twist. Like let's do it. But this fucking paperweight twist, we just made it so much more fun and like sillier. But yeah, I love it because it just ramps up the insanity.
Oh yeah,
And
and that's the Tales. That's totally Tales from the Crypt. There was always those types of things where they would just ramp up toward the end and be like, okay, that ended quickly and abruptly, you know.
And I
Or,
totally came in personally going like, man, I hope I can get some of those Crypt Keeper puns down. But
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
I
like-
think you fucking nailed it.
I feel like the stories lent themselves to it too.
Yeah, dude, we are so excited that you brought your friend, your puppet friend, Mr. Crypt Keeper.
Yes, indeed. So
One
now-
of the many puppets that he puts his hand into.
Oh my god, I feel like you should probably talk to the Crypt Keeper for our Christmas episode of Count Creepyhead. You know, he might be able to come and join along with Kermit. Just saying.
That is true. That's true. I feel like there's this weird friendship forming between the Crypt Keeper and Kermit and Werner Herzog.
I mean, I feel like they would all get a drink together.
Absolutely. It's such a strange like cast of characters for a podcast, but I love it.
I'm going
like
to pack the bong for all three of us.
Well, he does like a green. He does like a green.
That is very true.
And in this case, it's pretty easy being green.
And I will bring the cocaine.
Oh man.
Oh, I love it.
Well, Professor Pickman, we are so excited that you finally got a chance to come and guest on the show. We've been wanting to have you on for quite a long time, but had to find just the right episode. And there was one other idea. We're not going to name it here, but it's very on brand, we'll say, right?
Absolutely.
I'll give a very specific yet non-specific hint in just
Ranto! Ranto! Ranto!
Yes, I couldn't have asked for a better hit. That's so great. Yes, but we will absolutely, definitely get to that in season 4. Super excited that you came and were able to guest on the show. I am like over the moon that we finally not only did a Tales from the Crypt episode, that we pulled it off, if I do say so myself, and we did some really, really fun stories. We had the Crypt Keeper himself come and be our host. Like, I don't know of a better way to wrap up season 3. What about you, Mike?
No, this is perfect. This was the best Christmas gift I could have asked for. This is a lot of fun.
Why don't
Yes.
you give yourselves a hand? Better yet, I'll do it for you. Cue the moment I hand you my hand.
Oh man, so
Oh, it's so good.
This is actually our last improv episode of season 3, but not the last episode. We have one more coming up. We are going to do a Super Gushers year-end review where we're going to get real shoegazy, real self-indulgent, and talk about the history of the show. But we have an interesting idea for a little bit of a game we're hoping to play with our followers and listeners. So definitely tune in, please, next time so you can participate in the game. Trust me, it's going to be fun. Like I said, it's audience participation, and you'll be able to influence at least a little bit of what we do going into season 4. So I'll leave it at that hint. And with that, I'll just say once again, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Raise by Rentals program. You can find us online, as always, raisebarentals.com, at raisebarentals on the socials. I'm going to try really, really hard in the new year to expand our social media platform and get out onto some new spaces and explore some things other than the tired, sad old spaces we've been on for the last couple of years. You can also check out the Rad Pantheon, a super team of podcasters, artists, musicians, our art collective of super creative friends supporting each other to spread the word about rad stuff. Josh, Professor Pickman, Pickman's Vinyls, you have a project in the Rad Pantheon. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Not currently, but keep an eye out in the new year for a bunch of new stuff coming from Pickman's Vinyls around February-ish, which will coincide with the first convention of 2025, Assembly Required.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. And you guys, of course, are both co-hosts of the Count Creepyhead's Saturday morning Monster Mash podcast. I always want to say Monster Mosh.
I know, right?
Every single time I say it, I have to slow down and think, Josh, say it. It's Mash. Monster Mash.
Monster Mosh.
It is the Monster Mash, hosted by the Count. He is the best. What?
Yes.
Yes. So it sounds like you guys have a holiday special coming up soon. What about the Boogeyman's Closet, Mike?
Well, this month got a little away from us. We had a bunch of scheduling difficulties. I know poor Maurice got slammed with snow out where he is. So he's had some driving difficulties. We couldn't really get our team together to record as per usual. But we do have one Christmas episode coming out. It should hit right before Christmas. It's going to be Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4, The Initiation. The only thing I keep telling people about it is expect a half-naked Clint Howard.
Well, when I watch terrible movies, there has to be a half-naked Clint Howard, or I'm not finishing it.
Of course.
What else could you ask for Christmas?
A fully naked Clint Howard?
Fair.
Maybe for Festivus.
Yeah, Festivus seems up his alley.
Oh, man. Well, that sounds good. We got some more stuff coming up for the holiday season across the Red Pantheon. I'm sure there's some other Christmas and other holiday specials coming up. Like I said, we have one more episode, and then we'll be taking a little bit of a break going into January before we relaunch season 4 in 2025. More information about that next time and on the socials. So, yeah, once again, thanks everyone for listening. If you had fun with us, visit us online, drop a line to us, leave a comment, leave a podcast rating. Let us know what we should improve next time. And with that, I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
And until next time, this is Tales from the
Raised by Rentals.
Raised by Rentals is a member of the Rad Pantheon Network. Visit radpantheon.com to support rad stuff. The theme music is Forbidden Fruit by Velvet Bethany. You can purchase music and learn more at velvetbethany.com.
Up on the roof with nails and saws, I'll build a trap for Santa Claus. And when he lands in that hokey sleigh, I'll make this Christmas crud go away. Ho, 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 you got to know, I've got a way to make it so. Up on the housetop, quick, 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 throw a big bag over old Saint Nick.